My name is Elyse Wild, and you are listening to Women's Lifestyle Magazine Inspired Voices. Hi, welcome to the 13th installment of Inspired Voices. We are approaching 1 month since the first shutdown orders started rolling out of the governor's office. It feels like yesterday and a lifetime ago. I hope you guys are all doing well and continuing to take care of yourselves mentally and physically. Today, I'm really excited to bring you a conversation with Grand Rapids Mayor Rosalynn Bliss. Rosalynn and I discuss how the city is functioning right now during the COVID-19 pandemic, what city functions have changed, what is running business as usual, and how the city is stepping in to help those vulnerable populations that are really feeling the impacts of the pandemic, which can range from loss of income to food insecurity. We talk about how the city is also supporting small businesses that make our community such a special place to live, how they are continuing to support essential workers, and we also talk about the frustrations that many people have with the shutdown orders, what we can do to help mitigate that frustration, and things we can all do to take care of ourselves, take care of each other right now, because we all have a great responsibility to each other to create a positive outcome for our community and for the world. I hope you enjoy our conversation. I always really love the opportunity to talk to Rosalynn. She is such an articulate and gracious leader, and she has a very personable way of talking about larger issues. And right now, that's a particularly comforting trait. So here we go. I hope you enjoy. All right, Rosalynn, thank you so much for joining us. And tell us how you're holding up during all this. This is a very stressful time for everybody.
It is a stressful time. I'm holding up as good as I can. It's very busy. I'm very busy. City Hall is very busy. But with that said, there's a lot of good work happening as we work to respond as quickly as possible when issues come up, and also as we think about the future and what does that look like. So thanks for asking. I'm working hard to also practice some good self-care to make sure that I have the energy I need to do this work and to continue to do it really to the best of my ability. Although I have told many people that I feel like we are all learning as we go and learning as we lead, because these are uncharted waters.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that, it almost sounds macabre to look at the positive aspects of a global pandemic, but to some degree we have to just to mentally get by. And for me, one of the things that I see is being forced to engage in self-care in a way that we really haven't before. That is very nice. And then also everyone seems to be giving each other a lot of grace because we are all learning as we go. And I think that is a beautiful thing. And I hope that carries over when this is all done, whatever all done looks like in this situation. So what a lot of people are wondering about city functions.
Yep.
What city functions have changed, and what is continuing business as usual? I know I, for one, my husband and I will always wonder every Tuesday when our trash day comes around, we'll think, are they still picking it up? I hope they're still picking it up.
Yes, we are. So that's a great question. So we have shifted gears quite a bit. A number of our departments have shifted to 100% remote. We have reduced some of the work that we're doing. So we've canceled a lot of meetings, whether that's our planning commission, board of zoning appeals. So a lot of those meetings have been canceled they were canceled in March, but they'll be canceled, some of them in April as well. But we are still operating. So we have identified a lot of our essential workers. In government, a lot of what we do is essential. Mm-hmm. So we still have our police department and our fire department, responding to calls. Refuse is still being picked up. We started picking up yard waste. So yard waste started being picked up last week, but they have to be in city bags or they have to have city tags on them. Our drop-off site, which we call Domtar. Initially, we're going to open that this week, but because of the extended executive order, we're not going to open that until May. So that's a new development. Our 311 department is working. They are fully staffed and they are fielding a lot of calls that people have. So I encourage folks to call 311 if you have any questions about city services. But all of our buildings have been closed down to walk-in service. So we want you to reach out to us by phone or go onto our city website to receive services or to put in questions that you have or to share complaints. That is where we are directing people to go, is 311.
All right. Thank you. All good information to know. So everyone is struggling right now. A lot of us have anxiety, and it's all relative. Some people are struggling to work at home with kids, and others are on the other end of the spectrum where they suddenly find themselves without work and their bank account is getting very low as bills come in and they wait for their unemployment benefits to come in. And that's got to be a really scary place to be. So in what ways is the city supporting these more vulnerable populations to help them meet their basic needs at this time?
Yeah. So we are working really closely in partnership with a lot of organizations in the community to do just that. So our primary partner to help people meet their essential needs, whether that is food or rental assistance, is the United Way. So
Okay.
United Way, I am strongly encouraging folks to call 211 if they need help with anything. So United Way set up a coronavirus response fund. They've been able to raise millions of dollars
Wow.
in order to support families and individuals to get through this hard time. They are also supporting nonprofit organizations that are helping to provide a lot of those essential needs to families. And so I strongly, strongly encourage you to call 211. There's a couple numbers that I've been reminding residents to use: 211 if they need resources, 311 for city services, and 911 for emergencies. The other thing that we've done is that we've partnered with a number of organizations to help both business owners as well as employees that are trying to navigate the unemployment benefits right now. So there's a website that's really a one-stop shop called covidwm.org, and you will find all of the information broken down on where you can access resources. So if you're a small business owner and you're trying to figure out all of these relief packages, you can go to this site. You can also reach out, and there's a number on there that you can call for help. And then the City of Grand Rapids, our city manager, just last week put together a business investment team, and that is a team of city staff who will help business owners who need help in navigating the current systems, whether that's the state of Michigan has created some grants through the Small Business Association, but then also there's the CARES Act, and some of that can be very, very confusing for people to navigate. So if you have questions, again, you can call 311 and we will connect you with, we're calling them navigators. So we're trying to make sure that people are connected to people who can help them navigate some of these complex and confusing systems. We want people to get the support that they need as quickly as possible, and we are here to help in any way that we can.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. I know our small businesses are, we've just become a city in which small businesses have begun to thrive. And it's been, as someone who's grown up here, it's been so cool to see the small business community just grow. And, they really make our city such a special place to be. So I'm super glad to hear that you guys have designated that special channel to help them access financing and help. That's great.
Well, one other thing about small businesses, because I couldn't agree more, they are really the heart and soul of our local economy. And I've heard from so many of our small business owners who are absolutely terrified that they are not going to be able to weather this storm. And so a couple things. One is that a lot of our small businesses are still trying to operate on a limited capacity. So we have a lot of restaurants who are still providing food for takeout and delivery. We have a lot of retail shops that have tried to shift very, very quickly to online ordering and where people can still buy their product. And so I partnered with a number of folks throughout our community, and we created a website called Love Local GR. And that website, it's Love Local GR. And that is a website where you can go and find all of the different small local businesses who are still operating and find out ways that you can support them. So you can find out which ones are still doing takeout, which ones have curbside delivery, which ones you can still buy gift certificates from. So you can support them right now by buying gift certificates that you can use at a later date. But it's broken down. It's hopefully very easy to navigate. But it's there's things that all of us can do to continue to support our small businesses to make sure that as we come out of this, they come out of it with us. So I encourage folks to go there. The other thing we're doing internally here at the city is that we are working with our partners as we start to see these relief funds that are being set up throughout our community. So whether that is, the Small Business Association funds that the Right Place is leading right now and accepting applications for, or whether that's our chamber or our community foundation or the city of Grand Rapids or DDAs. And we're working with all of them to come up with a universal application so that you can have one application that you can utilize at different places. Or maybe if you apply with the DDA and you're not eligible, then you already have your application for another potential fund that you would be eligible for.
That is such a good idea. That's wonderful.
So we're working on that right now. But what I want people to know is that we are going to do everything in our power to make accessing the resources that people need as easy as possible. That is our number one goal. We want to be here for people and we want them to be supported, and we want to make getting those resources that we know are so critical to survival, we want to get those resources into the hands of the people that need them as quickly as possible.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad that I hope that another positive in all of this is that people feel supported in a way they maybe have not ever felt supported before, and that they really do feel their value to the community. And I think that everything that you outlined will certainly get that message across.
Yeah. Well, and that's my concern too. There's a lot of people right now who need support. Mm-hmm. And I want to also remind people, you brought up the fact that people are struggling. I've heard from so many people who are anxious and scared and feeling very depressed and isolated and lonely. And if that is you, if you are struggling, please, please, please reach out for help. So Network 180, Pine Rest, Arbor Circle, Forest View, there's a lot of organizations that are continuing to provide support, mental health support electronically during these difficult times. But we need you to reach out for help. And so I'm strongly encouraging you, please, 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 if you need help, reach out for help.
Very, very well said. Very good point. I think that all of us are struggling, even people who maybe have never come up against a mental health issue before. This certainly is really unique, and it is scary to think of. It's scary to think of the worst of what can happen when people don't have the support or they don't reach out for help. And really in the situation that we're in right now, because we're so physically isolated, we do have to reach out for help. We do have to do that reaching. So that was a great reminder. So how is the city of Grand Rapids supporting essential workers right now? And by essential workers, I mean, primarily those healthcare workers and grocery store workers and the people that are really in the thick of this and are taking a risk every day to step out of their houses and continue to provide the services that we all need right now, those essential services.
Yeah. We are, like so many others, doing everything we can to make sure that we are doing our part to prevent the spread of COVID. So I think every single one of us, we have a role to play in this. So if you are able to stay home, please stay home. If you do need to go out, please wear a mask and wear that protective covering that is so important to prevent the spread of COVID. It's really important. I know I've talked to a lot of people who are struggling even with the social distancing, or as I refer to it, as physical distancing.
Yeah.
Keeping that physical distance, there is a medical reason to do that. And there's good data to show that is one of the most effective things we can do right now to slow and prevent the spread of COVID. Everything that we can do to prevent the spread, we are doing to help those first responders to be safe and to make sure that they're able to do their job and that they don't get overwhelmed with cases. So again, I think there's something we can do to play our part. And then it's time to make sure that we are expressing our appreciation in any way that we can. As you said earlier, these are the days that we need to practice a lot of grace and patience and kindness and love. And we need to express that in ways that are safe. And there's a lot of different ways that people are doing that. People are decorating their windows and expressing their appreciation for essential workers. They are creating songs. They are sending cards. They're sending gifts. They're sending food. There's lots of little things that we can do to make sure that those who are on those front lines are getting the support that they need and that they feel appreciated. A concrete thing that we're doing here at the city, we also have essential workers, whether that's at our police department or our fire department or our public works department. The big thing for us, and I know this is true in our hospitals and with grocery stores and other services, is that we need to make sure that we have access to PPE, to that personal protection gear. And for those frontline workers, masks and gloves are so crucial. And I know that there's a lot of manufacturers and small businesses here in town who have stepped up, and they are shifting gears, and they're creating sanitizer, and they are creating masks, and a lot of people are sewing masks. I personally want to say thank you to everyone who is stepping up to help in those really, really meaningful ways.
That's great. It is really wonderful to see people pivot to use their skills or to use their resources to provide those services without hesitation. I mean, it was almost immediate that people started finding ways to help. And one thing that I'm trying to continuing to remind people with the podcast is that right now, even if you are worried about your finances and you can't write a check, you can't make a donation, or if you have kids at home and you can't volunteer at Kids Food Basket, for instance, or Meals on Wheels, there's always something you can give. There's always something you can do to support other people right now, and including just a thank you at the grocery store. That is a big thing to give right now, that appreciation. Decorating your window, writing a card, those things are so important right now, and every single one of us has something to give.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm encouraging folks to do is to pick up your phone and call someone that you know is alone.
That's a great point, yes.
Call a neighbor, call a friend, call someone who maybe they just need somebody to talk to. We all can set aside 20, 30 minutes to call somebody and check in on them and just listen. Really, people right now, they need somebody to be with them and to listen to them.
For sure. That's a very great point and great suggestion. So as the governor rolls out orders, which seem to be happening every couple of weeks, and things are developing, and we everything is still uncertain as we look ahead, and a lot of people are really frustrated with that. A lot of people are very frustrated with the shutdown orders. What advice do you give to people to help mitigate that frustration, which of course likely comes from just a place of these massive changes coming through, and it's overwhelming?
Yeah. So I've heard from folks who are frustrated as well, and I get that. And I've heard from people who are scared as well. I mean, there's a whole host of emotions right now that people are experiencing. And, it can be frustrating. I get that. But what I try to remind folks is that this is a moment in time, and we are going to get through this. With under the executive order, the governor has a lot of authority to make these decisions. So even here at the city, we find out about the executive orders very often at the same time as the general public. And then we are interpreting them as well and doing everything we can to respond as quickly as possible. And so I encourage folks to, again, practice patience and figure out creative ways to get through this hard time. But know that we are going to get through this. Not how things are going to be forever. We will come out of this. And when we come out of this, we're all going to need to work together to make sure that we recover and that we rebuild. And I'm going to need your energy. We're all going to need each other's energy to step up and to help us get through this. And so my hope is that even though people are really frustrated, that they recognize that they need to be a part of moving us forward and healing from this. And that's where I hope people put their energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that if anything, this is revealing kind of the totality of our connections to one another, and that we really are depending on one another right now to get through this in the best way possible. So everyone is playing a really important role. And I like that you said we all need each other. We're going to need that energy. We all need to put our energy into the same thing right now, which is a positive outcome. There does seem to be a little bit of a confusion about how the shutdown orders are enforced, particularly when it was announced last week that there is to be no more traveling from one residence to another. Can you explain a little bit about how those are enforced and what people should do if they see someone who they feel like is egregiously breaking the order and perhaps putting others at risk?
Yeah, so at the city, what we're encouraging folks to do is to call 311. So if you have a complaint or you have a concern, we're asking you to call 311. What we're discouraging people to do is to call 911. So unless it is an emergency. So we want to make sure that 911 is still available for those crises and those emergencies so that we can get to them as quickly as possible. So we still have a lot of emergencies throughout the city, as you know, whether that's a medical emergency or some other type of emergency. So we need to make sure our 911 dispatchers are available and that their lines are freed up to respond to those emergencies, which so often save lives. So if you have a concern about some type of violation of the executive order that is not life-threatening, we want you to call 311. And then we will work internally to determine, if we need to have somebody from our code enforcement or law enforcement follow up on that. The other thing is the county has been actively involved in enforcement as well. So of course you can always call the county sheriff's department as well. Non-emergency line.
Good to know. So a lot of us are focusing on what we can't do right now. And like we referred to before, it's that frustration. People are feeling really restricted. But as we close our conversation, what can people do right now?
Well, I think it depends on who you are. I can tell you some of the things that I've been trying to practice. But I do, I think moments like this, I feel like we're being forced to pause. We're being forced to kind of isolate, but also some of us, I don't have children at home that I'm trying to take care of. So I have a little bit more time and free time at home than I typically do. And so to me, these are times, as I said earlier, first, find ways that you can help and that you can encourage and support other people. Like all of us can do that. Whether it's picking up the phone or writing a note or sending out positive messages, all of us have an opportunity to do that. But I also encourage people to take this time to make sure that you are staying healthy. So, get some physical activity. Our parks and our trails are still open. Get outside. It's amazing what nature can do for your spirit. Take a long walk, keep your physical distance, practice those good rules, wear a mask as you're out and about. But I'm encouraging folks to get outside, get some fresh air, make a list of things that you've been wanting to get to in your house, clean out those closets that may be overdue, pick up a good book. There's a lot of local bookstores, whether that's Schuler's or Books and Mortar, you can still order books. Order a good book and sit back and make a cup of tea. I have turned to puzzles, which I find very meditative, but I don't think I've done a puzzle in 20 years, quite frankly.
Wow.
So I have a puzzle on my kitchen table and I'm able to pause, for an hour here and there and just, give my brain a break. So, but everybody has something different that works for them. So I encourage you to just think about what works for you, what makes you feel, supported and what gives you an opportunity to relax a little bit. I encourage you to do that. And then also lots of people are being creative with Zoom and with FaceTime and with, house parties. So if you have access to electronics, it may sound goofy. I know a friend of mine I recently did a happy hour with. She's like, this is the goofiest thing. But honestly, it was very, I found it very comforting to see someone's smiling face. And even though we're in our own homes, to see the face of somebody that you care about and that you love, it really does fill you up. So try new things, and just be open to new experiences during this hard time as we all figure out how we're going to get through it.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Rosalynn. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about the current state of things or your hopes for the future?
I think the only thing I'd like to say is we live in a really special community, and I've always known that we are a city filled with people who are kind and compassionate. We have long been one of the most generous cities in the country, and I believe that those deep roots, this compassion that I believe is in our DNA as a community, it is what is going to help us get through this. We are a strong city, but what makes us strong are the people here who care so deeply about our community and about one another. And so I just hope people remember that. I hope they have faith in this community. I know I do, and I believe we're going to get through this, and that's one of the primary reasons.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
thank you. Well said. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Mayor Rosalynn Bliss. I was particularly struck by her closing thoughts on that compassion is in our DNA in West Michigan, and I certainly believe that is true. And in the spirit of that, I wanted to highlight 3 local nonprofit organizations that really need our help right now. The first of which is Meals on Wheels, which delivers meals to thousands of seniors across Western Michigan, and they are continuing their services throughout the pandemic. They are in need of donations to replenish food supplies, subsidize transportation, enable mobile and tech-based efforts to check in on isolated seniors. If you're unable to make a monetary donation, they are accepting food and personal items, such as low-sugar cereal, low-sugar canned fruit, low-sodium canned vegetables, toilet paper, soap, toothpaste. You can find the list at mealsonwheelswesternmichigan.org/donate. The next nonprofit I want to bring light to is Dégagé Ministries. Dégagé provides essential services to 500 plus people in our community each day, many but not all of who are experiencing homelessness. So Dégagé is an essential service, and they're continuing to operate as they provide for our community's most vulnerable population. They are adhering to social distancing practices and sanitizing with great frequency to keep everybody safe. I had Dégagé's Director of Development, Brooke Jevics, in the podcast a few weeks ago, and she shed some light on the fact that the ministry depended on 30 volunteers a day, and now they're no longer allowed to use volunteers, so they're essentially 30 staff members short. So not only are they implementing extra efforts to keep everybody safe and healthy during COVID-19, but they're doing so while greatly short of help. If you would like to help them in their time of great need, visit degagéministries.org. On the homepage, they have an option to give financially or purchase something from their Amazon wish list. Next, we have Safe Haven Ministries. Safe Haven provides emergency shelter and support to individuals fleeing domestic violence. And right now, their services are more important than ever. It's come to our attention that since mid-March, when shutdown orders began to roll out, domestic violence cases have risen 50% in Kent County. And it's not unique to Kent County, it's something that's happening all over the world. We have a podcast coming out on Friday that addresses that issue. But while Safe Haven's administrative offices are closed, their shelter remains open, and they are continuing to provide for that population. If you go to safehavenministries.org, you can make a financial donation, or if you visit their Facebook page and scroll down a little bit, you will find a link to their Amazon wish list. They are seeking donations such as Meijer gift cards, disposable plates, silverware, lotion, hand soap, a lot of other household items. As we move through this together, I encourage you to kind of look within yourself and see what you have to give, whether it be extra household items that you have around your home, or if you're able to write a check, that's also great. If you're unable to give, that's okay. I would just encourage you to spread the word about these nonprofits that need our help. To stay in touch with us, please visit www.womenslifestyle.com and sign up for our newsletter. You can also listen to this podcast on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Women's Lifestyle, all one word. If you have any ideas for a podcast episode or if you'd like to hear from someone we haven't interviewed yet, please reach out to me at elyse@womenslifestyle.com. That's Elyse at womenslifestyle.com. I hope you are all staying healthy and staying safe, and thank you so much for listening. To stay in touch with us, please visit www.womenslifestyle.com and sign up for our newsletter. You can also listen to this podcast on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Women's Lifestyle, all one word. If you have any ideas for a podcast episode or if you'd like to hear from someone we haven't interviewed yet, please reach out to me at elyse@womenslifestyle.com. That's Elyse at womenslifestyle.com. I hope you are all staying healthy and staying safe, and thank you so much for listening.